Hey everybody, MSOM 601 Lesson 5 recap coming to you today from an airport hotel in St. Louis, Missouri. Missouri is my home state. I have a lot of friends here. My parents still live here. Grew up here. St. Louis, great baseball town. Cardinals normally always in the hunt for the playoffs. This is being recorded in September of 2014, and they are chasing the pennant this year as well. For those of you who work for Boeing, right across the runway here at St. Louis International Airport is an old McDonnell Douglas assembly plant. I'm not even sure if they still assemble anything there or not. But my father actually, before he went into ministry, was an electrician at McDonnell Aircraft in the 1960s. So a lot of the similar things here in St. Louis that you find in a lot of Midwestern cities trying to move from a manufacturing base. Used to be a big automobile producing city as well to trying to move into more service-based industries just to kind of control the plight away from the city. So from St. Louis today. This week you had three things. Normally you have three things every week. But this week you had two discussion boards and you had a case study. The first discussion board I really like, and probably I like that because my background's in sales, and so when we talk about assessing the audience, it's really, really important. And some of your reading this week was talking about structuring your arguments for in writing and structuring your arguments in public, and so certainly you can use different models for making sure that you accurately assess the audience. And that's all part of a wonderful critical thinking exercise and also part of a problem-solving exercise. And so some good reading this week and some good discussion on that type of assessment. So don't forget that as you go forward, particularly for those of you who are moving into management positions and you're speaking at not only your company, but you're speaking at Rotaries or you're speaking at other types of things. It's one of the key things that you always have to do is not just present what you think you want to present, but assess your audience and make sure that the way you present it, the content that you have is formatted properly for the audience. The second discussion question was really one that a lot of students in this class kind of misunderstand, and it's about the 7 layers of thinking and knowing. And these 7 layers are not, pick one. It starts really at the bottom as feelers, and then it's progressive. So each individual layer of this adds higher degree or higher complexity of critical thinking all the way to the top level, which would be the sage. And so I try to explain that a bit in the discussion board prep for this, but I always like to see what students do, and many times they just select one of the 7 items and they think, well, I'm this, or this person is this, or this person is this, and they forget again that the way that this chart is structured, it's structured from the lowest level of critical thinking that babies do. They touch, they feel, all of those things, all the way to the top level of sages. Now, I don't necessarily always agree with these layers or these steps, and certainly it doesn't mean that you have to question everything that you see. I mean, there are certain things that faith, for those of us who are Christians and believers, you have to take those into account as you look at these layers of thinking and knowing. But this was a really interesting chart, and I hope that you didn't take it lightly. I hope perhaps after this explanation and some of the comments that you'll see that I'll place on the discussion boards on this, that you'll go back and take a look at it and give it a second chance. Knowing again that it is a progressive, it's a higher level of thinking as you go up the ladder. And then finally the case study. The case study was something that I think, again, I didn't want you to take that one lightly either, because I think one of the things that people do, there's always that person, I think, on the team who you go into a meeting with and you already have an opinion developed about them and you know how they're going to act or respond in the meeting, and perhaps they know how you're going to act or respond as well. And so I ask you to apply the RED model, and my hope is that by now you're understanding that I'm looking to apply the RED model to just about everything that you see. Not only does it have to be a organizational problem, but it could be a conversation problem or opportunity that you have with a fellow team member or someone who you just don't understand. And so as you're going through this exercise, I am sure, whether you know it or not, in this exercise, the people who were involved, the two ladies involved in this disagreement or in this conversation, all had certain assumptions going in. And so the R portion of the red model, recognize assumptions, if they would have gone into those, recognizing that they had some preconceived notions, biases, or other types of assumptions, perhaps the getting it wrong portion of that would have been a little bit different. And then the evaluate the arguments and then draw conclusions would all flow out of that. So my hope in putting that case study together is that you will see that there is probably not an opportunity or a problem that you face either at work or at home or in any other type of situation where the red model could not be applied, at least partially. And it all begins, again, with recognizing the assumptions. And so I'm going to constantly be hammering that point back to you. And my hope is that by the end of this class, you're going to be thinking red all the time. You'll have a red model pillow. You'll laminate red and put it on your desk. You'll talk to your kids about it, all of those things. Because again, I'm trying to get you to think in a problem-solving process so that you just don't immediately go to a solution. That's the problem that I see a lot in business today, and even in personal lives. We're all so busy, we're all so harried in those areas that we want to constantly get to the solution. And if we're constantly moving towards the solution, yet we're not recognizing the assumptions, or we're not finding out initially what the key problem is, then that's not going to help us. And we're going to be solving the wrong problem or making the wrong assumptions about people as we go forward. So that was lesson 5. And I look forward to lesson 6. Have a great week. And if you need me, just call me.